Hello and welcome also from my side. My name is Rainer Markaiser. I am the product manager for test management in Cloud ALM and would like to present you today a short introduction about Cloud ALM test management and what we have delivered the last year. And then I will hand over to my colleague Christina, where she gives an outlook what's coming next. So a quick introduction on what is Cloud ALM test management. From the beginning, we try to be an easy-to-consume platform for test management, always with the target to integrate as much as possible, because testing is in between the different phases of implementation, but also continuous innovation and so on. And therefore, it's important that integration is a key for test management. We support all SAP products and platforms. That means it could be still on-premise, but also, of course, the future is cloud. And also, to be clear, SAP Cloud ALM is not just for testing SAP solutions, but also can integrate with non-SAP solutions. That means if a non-SAP solution is part of your end-to-end process, it could be covered by test management. What could we do with Cloud ALM test management? We can design, orchestrate all test artifacts. We can execute them. Manual testing is completely done in Cloud ALM. We can associate our test cases with so-called implementation scopes, process scopes, to have a kind of reporting entity that is the highest below the project. Then we have the solution processes. We have the connectivity to process hierarchy, where you can structure your test cases like you may be known from Solution Manager, where you can define your own process hierarchy. And of course, also for user acceptance test, if you use requirements management, you can link your test cases to requirements, but also on user stories and other entities in our libraries. Test planning was introduced about 2 years ago, where we also allowed customers in a larger scale to have iterative test phases, also rollouts to different countries, to different plants, and so on. And what we also do is orchestration of automated tests. We don't have a test automation tool itself in Cloud ALM, but we integrate with several test automation tools that comes in the next step. And everything combined, manual and automated test cases, can be reported together in Cloud ALM with our traceability reports, starting from solution processes or requirements and user stories, but also in the process hierarchy assignment report, you can see, are these process hierarchy nodes covered by test cases? What is the test case status from a preparation point of view, but also what is the execution status? And the complete thing is also the test execution for manual testing is completely locked. That means every step a user is doing in the system, like setting a single test action to passed or failed or to be retested, this is locked in the history of a test run, and that can be also used for later audit trails. Coming to test automation, we have open integration to test automation tools, and the first tool that we integrated was the test automation tool from S/4HANA Public Cloud that also brings predefined test content, means ready to run test scripts that could be used. And the second one is Tricentis Test Automation integrated with Cloud ALM. This is also a cloud solution, should not be mixed up with a TTA connected with Solution Manager. It's a complete SaaS solution also and integrated with Cloud ALM. For Tricentis Test Automation, we will have tomorrow afternoon a session with really expert level information on how to start with test automation using Tricentis Test Automation, and also providing some best practices on how to start and not fail in the early steps. We have also the possibility to integrate other third-party tools that are in the market and support our API. So we are still in that area, an open platform, not just for our own tools from S4 or from Tricentis, which is our primary partner, but also other vendors could integrate with Cloud ALM. At the beginning, that was more or less 2 or 3 years ago, the focus of Cloud ALM test management was completely on SAP standard content-driven implementation approach. And that, of course, was the focus with S/4HANA Public Cloud. And here you could directly use best practice processes and use also the accelerators like the ready-to-run test scripts that could be downloaded and imported into Cloud ALM. And with that, you are already, maybe with some adjustments like putting the right data into the script or connecting it to that, you could start the test execution. So there was no overhead using a test plan mandatory test package like it was in Solution Manager. It was quick, easy to consume, and for a smaller project, that was sufficient. But also there, we have the possibility to have regression tests for every upgrade. That is every half a year at S/4HANA Public Cloud. You can use the test automation tool embedded into the S/4HANA stack. And that was also quite heavily used by these customers. But now we are going to the RISE journey. That means private cloud was the focus of many customers because the SAP standard, which provides by SAP Public Cloud, was not sufficient. They want to extend the solution, wants to take over a lot of things that they have built in the ECC ERP stack. And therefore, we extended also Cloud ALM test management to support these customers during the last 2 years. And that typically starts with Signavio, where you can model your processes. You can also start with best practice processes, copy to Signavio, and then adjust it to your own needs. That's still a recommended approach. Fit to standard is a keyword here. And these processes can be synced with Cloud ALM. So we have those processes in Cloud ALM process management, and then you can create requirements currently still in Cloud ALM. In future, you heard the keynote from Michael Glover. In future, could be also created in Signavio already and synced with Cloud ALM. User stories could be used. And one spoiler for Christina's part is we plan in the next half year to have also an AI use case where we use the information from a process, requirement, user story, and maybe additional documentation to generate customer-specific manual test cases with all the different steps inside. And you can then use that in test preparation and do test planning and so on. On top of this, we have, as mentioned, Tricentis test automation. Tricentis test automation comes into the game whenever you want to do end-to-end tests. Even if you have S/4HANA Public Cloud in place, but you have connected SuccessFactors, Ariba, and other cloud solutions, end-to-end tests could not be covered by the S4 test automation tools. It's only for the S4 specific processes. And therefore, end-to-end processes and especially also private cloud customers with their own extensions, Tricentis test automation is the tool of choice for regression testing. And now I want to give a quick overview on what we have delivered since the last year, starting in Q4 last year, where we started in having the process hierarchy assignment. So far we did only assign to processes, and the processes were a flat list of processes in the process management. And customer were asking for, we want to create our own hierarchy to orchestrate all the content, including test cases in that hierarchy. We called it process hierarchy, but it can also be used just for testing purposes. That means if you have different test organizations for each country or plant, you have different test managers that are decentrally working. They could organize their testing also using the hierarchy. And then In future, that is also part of Christina, what she will explain. You can use this hierarchy node and assign it to a test plan. So this is the process hierarchy assignment report, where you see all the hierarchy nodes and all the artifacts that could be linked to a hierarchy node. And documents, test cases, test execution data, defects is just an example. And whenever you click on a chart here, you will get into the details. And for the defect management or for executed or failed test cases, you can directly follow up, navigate it then to the actual test run. The next topic was that we provided references for test cases where you, for instance, can attach test data sheets that are located either in a SharePoint or somewhere else. And you can manage your test data separately, or providing some additional information that guides a tester for some preparation steps he need to do on top of the test case description. And these reference links will also be provided to the tester in test execution. Then we have also identified that many customers were confused when we introduced the test plans, that even if you have created a test plan, assigned some test cases to it, there was always two occurrences of this test case, one with a test plan and one without. And this was confusing for most customers that only want to work with test plans, but not in an agile mode, testing without test plan. And therefore, we provided a standard filter called test plan status. And by default, all the test cases without a test plan are not visible. And that helped a lot for these customers only working with test plans. And those customers who want to work also without a test plan, they can adjust the filter, store it as their own view, and can work also in that way. Defect reporting for test plans was also highly required from many customers, because they want to see and follow up also based on test plans. Every test manager has their set of test plans they want to orchestrate and manage. And for defects, it was a long time not possible to directly filter for the related test plans, and that is also available now. So within the defect reporting analytics card, you will find then also a view that you can select defects distributed by test plans, but also by scopes and other elements. And with that, you can also directly navigate, clicking on the chart, to the defect details and see what happened and who needs to follow up on this defect resolution process. Next step was then, many customers also claimed, oh, our testers or any user has deleted a test case, and sometimes even some test results have already been there because it was already used and the test case was executed. But with the deletion of a test case, also the result were deleted. And also here, before we do the authorization enhancement in test management next year, we already provided a solution that prevents the deletion of test cases or removal of a test case from a test plan if there is already some test results, execution data for the test case. And only project administrators and project leads could then, with a big pop-up describing what is the impact, they could delete, but not a normal tester could not delete anymore. Copy of test plans, of course, if you do several test iterations with the same or similar set of test cases, it was cumbersome to always start from scratch. Now we have a copy of test plans. Then you can just copy all the test cases. The test execution status will be initialized for the new test plan. And so you can start from scratch, having a second cycle of the similar test. That next topic is then also the relationships that we provided as part of the selective data transfer. So with the selective data transfer, also for test steps, our intention was to bring all the relations that we had in Solution Manager to executables, and we call it now applications, that we also bring these relations to Cloud ALM. And therefore, we have then built several integrations. The first one was the application that then could also be reused later on. Then, Together with that, we also provide a mass upload capability that is heavily used from the first week. We provided that. It was, we have our reporting, and we saw it was very, very well used so far. And here also a small demo on that, where we have a new button, upload button in the list view, and you can just select the scope where you want to upload your test cases. You select an Excel sheet. In this example, it contains 8 test cases. And if the format and the content is okay, you can directly upload it, and then you will find your test cases in the related scope. In this example, we have also a test case that includes an application link. That means in the test execution, then you can also directly navigate to the system under test, to the related Fiori app in this example. Then also best practice test cases. It was so far, before we had this solution, cumbersome to use it, because first you need to create a test case empty for one process. You need to download the empty Excel sheet. You need to do some GUID exchange with 2 Excel sheets, one from the best practice test case, one from the downloaded, and it was quite complicated. Now you can directly upload best practice test cases also to the test preparation. And then also we have here the assignment to interfaces, also part of selective data transfer, where you can connect test case to an interface. That brings transparency to you. That means if some interface will be updated, you will also identify which test cases are linked to that interface and maybe need to be updated. That is always a nice use case. Test sequences was also heavily asked from many customers to have this in place. Last year in ALM Summit, we presented a workaround with naming conventions for test cases that the sequence can be determined by the title and sorted by title. And finally, we have now also in the test plan app a new column that provides a sequence that you can adjust on your own needs, and then in the test execution, the test cases will be listed in the same order. What we don't have implemented yet is that this sequence is mandatory for the testers. That will come also next year with some option, a flag most likely, where we can say this test plan need to be tested in that sequence, and this case will be still available, that it's optional, that tester can decide to skip also test cases. Next one was assignment test cases to solution activities. Solution activities is formerly known as process steps in Solution Manager. Again, that was something we required for the selective data transfer, and therefore this is also available now with Cloud ALM. That you have also process step-based test cases. And finally, to have the selective data transfer available for test steps, we provided then the actual upload. So we use the same upload button that we saw in the demo for the mass upload. We can use the same upload button also for the Excel sheets coming out of Solution Manager. Yesterday we had some questions regarding defect correction. That is actually a solution that you can now create out of a defect a feature, and that is exactly the use case we had in Solution Manager for defect correction, that you can manage the corrections during the test phase, identified and reported via defect. Tags for test plans, that was also a customer request. Here the problem, or it was not a problem, but as we have a little bit a different design from a test plan compared to Solution Manager, where many customers has quite huge test plans and manage then subsets of the test plan in test packages. Now customers more using the test plan with smaller set of test cases, but then the number of test plans was increasing and it was difficult to manage the test plans in just one list, and therefore it was also asked to have tags to be able to filter test plans. For instance, one test manager is responsible for all the sales area, and then they can tag the test plans also for this special area or for special LOB and so on. And that helps also now to orchestrate all the test planning activities. Then a new feature that was introduced quite some weeks ago is that we finally can also reassign test cases that has been created for a certain process to another one. Also, together with a mass upload, many customers ask, why could we not assign, before we upload, already the test case to a certain process that it already will connect it to the certain process. That was tricky. With a selective data transfer, we can provide this information because we get the information from Solution Manager to which process it was linked there. But for the mass upload, this information is not easy to find out. We need some technical IDs, which are not available yet for the process management. And therefore, we also have then two use cases that could be supported. One is if you have uploaded your test cases with a mass upload and they don't have any process context information, you now could, oh, that was too fast, sorry. Yeah. So you could now then reassign this test case. Still empty, reassign button, you select a certain process, you select a related diagram, that could be a variant of the process, and then you have it assigned to that. The second use case is that you have started with a standard best practice process, but you have identified that this process need to be adjusted and need to be copied as a custom process. But you already created the test case for that and want to reuse for the custom process to save some work. And that is also now possible, that you can reuse a test case has been initially created for a standard process and now could be also reassigned to the custom processes. And the good thing is you will not lose any data. Even some steps in the custom process are missing. We will keep all the data even if these steps are not part of the new diagram. And you see also here there might come some additional steps out of the new diagram, and you see the scope is inactive, but then you could start also for new steps that are in the new process to enhance this with your own test actions. And the final smaller improvement, but also heavily asked by customer, is a little feature that allows you in the test run, when you click on a single test action, you had only the chance to have it either passed or failed. But if you click by accident to one of those, there was no way back. And therefore, we provided this reset feature. And we all know that testers, in most cases, are casual users. They are not working in Cloud ALM and test execution on a daily basis. They might use it twice a year. And therefore, here we need to provide some more usability features. And the reset was, of course, one of that was asked from many customers. Yeah, and the result of that, and I am really proud of this, is that the adoption of test management in Cloud ALM has increased quite huge. So we started last year with 800 active customers, not customers that had provisioned Cloud ALM, but really using test management. And we increased it and doubled it to 1,600 customers. And at the same time, we also increased the real usage, so the adoption of the capabilities like test execution from 20,000 test runs per month to 93,000. That means more than triple of the initial value we have achieved. That means only these customers maybe start with some pilot projects using Cloud ALM. Most likely they have increase their usage of Cloud ALM test management, but also the new customers are larger. We see a lot of larger customers from the RISE customers that they have larger projects, and of course, number of test execution are also increasing in that way. And now it's the time to hand over to Christina, Future of Test Management, and she will bring us an outlook on what's coming next.
Thank you, Rainer,
You're
for
welcome.
giving me 4 minutes for 4 slides. So hopefully the glimpse of the future will be enough for you. Not too far away, good. Yeah, just give me a little bit an outlook what we will deliver in the next weeks and months inside of this year. Will be also quite heavy features that are absolutely needed by you as a customer. Yeah, for example, test evidence is totally needed, as well as the test documents that you may have imported already from your solution manager into SAP Cloud ALM. And what I have a little bit underestimated was the need of using teams inside of test cases as well, and maybe also to assign more than just one tester to the test cases. But we will have a bit more a look inside of this in the next 2.5 minutes. But when we take a little more outlook to 2026, which is under the star of life cycle, you will see also features which are quite helpful. Yeah, for example, two-step deletion. Rainer has already mentioned it. There was a lot of mistakes taken inside of the system. The test cases were deleted. The results were deleted. And yeah, maybe we got also some requests via ticket that someone has deleted a test plan or deleted test cases or the scope even. Yeah, and then all test cases are gone. How to recover it? And there was no way to recover it. So in future, with the two-step deletion, for example, this will be possible. As well as bulk execution of automatic test cases makes absolutely sense. So you have just to select in future the test cases that you want to execute and say, just execute it. Multi-project handling is also heavily requested, because of currently you have your project where you have your test cases in, and yeah, when the project is over, then also your test case is more or less dying, and therefore it will be most likely that your test case will be without any relationship to a project, and you can reuse it then for several projects, for example. Okay, but let's take a deeper look inside what is going to be delivered this year. And these are 3 big features. One of them will be the test evidence. So you will be able to select for each and every test action if an evidence is needed, especially if you are creating data like a new order or a new billing document, something like this. You definitely need to provide this kind of evidence. And what we define as an evidence will be that you assign a screenshot to the current comment field. And I'm pretty sure that some of you have already recognized that the comment field is not any longer the comment field. It will be in the near future the actual result field, which makes much more sense because if we want to introduce next year also a comment functionality where you can mention, for example, also other persons which have to take care about the test case or take a look inside of it. Test document import, especially important for customers which are coming from Solution Manager, which are heavily using, for example, test documents inside of Solution Manager. So you were already able to import them, but you cannot use them currently because if they are in the Documents app. And what we are going to introduce here is that we can import this test document and reuse all the information that we already have, because if this is our best practice, reusing things that we have already maintained. So it will be at the end that you are selecting your test documents, select the solution process, because it could be that your test document is assigned to several processes. So you have to select which is the leading process, and then you're clicking on import and your test case will be available in test preparation, with all of its relations and metadata. And finally, we are over the time. Nevertheless, I want still show you the test team / multiple tester assignment. As mentioned earlier, currently it's the issue that you can just assign one tester per test case. In the meantime, we see that many of you are using kind of end-to-end tests where several testers needs to be assigned to this test case, and we still have the request to assign testers on test step level. And I'm super open to lead this discussion, so come over then and we will talk about this use case. But for the time being, we want to provide you first that you are assigning several testers, single testers, to the test cases, or /end teams. It will be the same field. It's still the tester field. We are renaming this, maybe to assigned to, and then you can decide who needs to take care of these test cases. Of course, then you can also filter then for the testers like you do it today. And with this, we are more or less in time. So if you have any questions, we are staying in the room for a while, so just come over and, yeah, burn us with our questions. So thank you for your time.